unlock this orientation. Did that fix it? Okay. Is it gonna work? No? It says I have to rotate my device. Let's see. Now it says I can talk to you guys. This is weird. I do not know what we will do. I guess we will turn it this way. But this is weird. Oh well. Let's see how it goes. Will it let me? Nope. It will not let me record any other way than straight up and down. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I'm trying to get it so you guys can see me properly. Proof. I'm not actually an Instagrammer. I'm not actually a YouTuber, and I'm definitely not an influencer. Regardless, we're gonna cook supper together. We're a minute and a half into this, and I'm just now getting started actually cooking. So I'm just turning. You can hear my gas coming on. I clipped my hair back because my daughter and my husband, nor me, like food with hair in it, and I have very long hair. So first step I'm going to do is to get my meat out of my freezer bag. And my binky is going to, this is just hamburger meat that we froze like 2 years ago. So I'm going to use, I think this is about 2 pounds. I could have weighed it, but that's not very much like me. So we're going to say it's about 2 to 2.5 pounds of hamburger meat. It's in my skillet. I'll be right back. I gotta go wash my hands. Okay. And while we're at it, I had to take my griddle off earlier, and I didn't put it back on. But I bet you guys know what tool I'm gonna use to cook this meal, because it's the same tool I use all the time. No, I don't sell it. It's just my favorite, my mixing chop. I like my meat to get really finely chunked up. I do not like, I have a secret. Y'all are really gonna maybe unfollow me over this one. I don't love meat. So if I'm gonna eat meat, one, I have to be in the mood for it. Two, it has to be the right texture. It's a textural issue, and it's also for me a science issue because I have way too much biology knowledge, and when I start eating meat, I'm like, okay, I can't think about it. But my husband and my daughter love meat, and I don't have any problem doing the processing of the meat. It's like when I go to actually chew it and think about it, it bothers me. And not on a moral kind of way, but in a science geek, thinking about cellular structure kind of way. Let me grab some water. I'm not measuring. That should not surprise you. I'm going to use this bowl, and I'm going to get a little bit of water, and I'm going to put it down in here because that will help break up that meat a little more. And I just want my meat to be really fine textured so that I can enjoy these burritos. Now I will drain the fat and the water from the meat. Hey, you know what? One of these days I ought to do? I should get one of those microphones so you can hear me. Shouldn't I? Probably won't. Okay. Now, after I get this going, I'll turn you down just like I did last time, and I'll try not to drop you into the pan this time. I saw Summer say hi. Hi, Summer. So what all's in this? This is about, let me grab the salt first. This is about probably 2.5, maybe 3 pounds of meat. This is just Maldon salt flakes. It's my salt of choice. I can't do iodized salt. I was sick and had a problem with my lungs several years ago. And ever since then, I don't know if it's the medicine I had to take at that time or what, I can't do iodized salt. I can taste metal. So now I do only the Maldon sea salt flakes, or I do J.W. Dixon Salt Works from West Virginia. It's a local salt mine. Okay, so about 2.5 or 3 pounds of ground beef, and 2 jars of my homemade salsa, and an untold measure of our mixed vegetables and corn and stuff that we canned up last year. Oh, and black beans. Probably a pint of the black beans, and probably 2 quarts of mixed vegetables, and an extra pint of corn. And then I had to grate this by hand, y'all, so I am being officially fancy today. This is just mild cheddar. Now, this is just what I'm using today. Oh, I also am going to use our taco seasoning blend. That recipe is also in the cookbook. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Every time these get made, they get made differently. I'm just making it my favorite way to make it, which is to jerk a bunch of stuff out of the pantry and use it. But the way my mom made it, and continues to make it, the whole time I was growing up, and even today, is she doesn't make them till Friday. And on Friday, she gets in the fridge, and every single thing that is left over from the week goes in this pan. And that's how she makes Farmhouse burritos. So sometimes they have more green beans than they do corn, and other times they have more corn than green beans. Sometimes they have soup beans that have been made into refried beans, and other times they have just pinto beans that we've canned up, and she didn't have any made, but she wanted beans in the burritos. So it's different every time. And I'll get Brooklyn to come over here. Thank you. What's the weirdest thing Mom ever put in there? She put noodles in them one time because she had noodles left over as well. And she made spaghetti burritos once, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever she has left, that's what she does. Me, I'm a little more traditional. And I didn't have a bunch of leftovers because I have been making a conscious effort to cook exactly the amount that we will eat instead of extra. Except this time because I'm going to freeze these. So, yeah. So I didn't have a bunch of leftovers to go in here. We ate everything that I made last night. Also, I have to tell you guys something that I didn't tell you yesterday when we were making strawberry dumplings. They are so good on cornbread. So last night after we had dinner and there was a little bit of cornbread left, we crumbled up the cornbread and put the strawberry dumplings over top of the cornbread for extra dumpling-y dumplings. So good. Another recipe, I don't know if we shared this one in the cookbook, is that we make cakes and stuff with cornbread some, but not cornbread, but cornmeal. That's anything that's sweet, that's cornmeal based is a cake. It's not cornbread. All right. I'm going to show you how I do this. Now let me see how I can accomplish this task. I may just have to take it out. So this is what the pan looks like right now. And I'm going to try to rotate this around so that I can point you at it and you can see it. And y'all, I'm not fancy. I think anybody who follows me on Instagram knows I'm not fancy. So this is just real cooking. Really at home for my real life family. Okay. And I'm just going to get this meat all the way done, and I'm going to grind it as much as I can with my mixing chop. My cousin sells this, and I buy one every year. I probably have 4 or 5 of these mixing chops. Okay. Now, I'm going to start getting some of this fat out. And nothing goes to waste. I'll be saving this fat to use as a topping for the hunting dog's food. And no, I won't put a whole quart of fat on it at the same time. Y'all don't get all freaked out on me. But we freeze it in like ice cubes. And then each day we take out a certain amount and we add this fat to the hunting dog's food. You can't do that with every kind of dog either, y'all. These are some pretty hardy outside dogs. They're not your labradoodles and stuff, you know. So I have that kind of dog too, but I can't feed them any kind of fat or they get pancreatitis. But our hunting dogs don't. So this is how one of the ways that we help them through winter. And I just, listen, it ain't got to be perfect. And it don't have to be fancy. Ugly food eats just as good as pretty food. So I'm just going to get as much of this fat out as I can. And you know that's a little water too. So. Now I'm not going to measure this time. The measurements, Mark actually did the measurements for the cookbook. If you feel like you can't just eyeball it, you can get the cookbook on our website. Okay. And I hate to keep shamelessly plugging it, but y'all, I am not about to start measuring. But you feel free to just eyeball it just like I do. Okay. Alright. Well, I'm going to try to get a little bit more, but looks like I'm not going to get any more of that fat out of there. And I'm not going to worry about it. My cholesterol's good. If yours ain't, you can maybe use extra lean meat. I don't worry about it. Okay. So now we have this going. And this is just our homemade taco seasoning. I do it and then I taste it. But basically, I'm just looking for it to cover the top. Like this. And then, I stir it in. And I'm going to have to add more. That's not nearly enough. And then I'll add more again in a minute when I add all the vegetables and things. Yeah, that water's cooked on out of there, see? What little bit was left is gone. Now, the hardest part about making farmhouse burritos is wrapping them up in the shells. And I'm going to have to get Binky Baby to get out aluminum foil because I did not do that. Will you get aluminum foil and start tearing sheets? Thank you. I know you're probably like, why are you going to wrap them in aluminum foil? Trust me, do it. Yep. Mom wraps hers in parchment paper. But I use, so this is all my mixed vegetables. Like this is my whole, you can see this is my colander, is full of various vegetables. This is going to make a big batch. I'm going to wrap them in aluminum foil. We'll eat on them today and tomorrow. Any that's left will go into the freezer, still wrapped in aluminum foil. And then, anytime we want a burrito for lunch or dinner, or if I don't feel like cooking, we'll have leftovers. This is probably the best make-ahead meal ever. And it has all kinds of good veggies in it. Now, a lot of people get their panties in a wad over canned vegetables because they say they're not as nutritious. I'm still alive. That's all I'll say for that. I grew up just fine and had no deficits from lack of nutrition. My only deficits come from being a redneck, I think. You can hear Brooklyn making plenty of noise over there. Okay, so as you can see, these have tons of vegetables. This was the way that we stretched meat so that we got a meaty meal without having the meaty price, because even raising a cow ain't cheap, y'all. A bunch. So I think I have 20 shells ready to go. 20 burritos ready. 24. But I bet I'll have more than that. Anyway, if you don't have enough taco burrito shells made up to use all this up, you can pack this and freeze just the filling and then get the filling back out and do one of two things with it. You can either turn it into soup by adding stewed tomatoes and more salsa, or you can get it out, heat it back up, and pack it into burrito shells when you have more burrito shells. Brooklyn, did you do that quieter? What am I doing? I'm looking for mine. So now I gotta open, I use this to open my jars. I got it from Jennifer over at 5 Big Farms, and let me show you something. Well, I can't show you because I have to hold it against me to do it. It opens it without bending the lid. So I'm gonna add 2 pints of salsa here. Yes. Thank you, Binky. There we go. This is the biggest cast iron pan that I have. And I always make it full, just like you see me making right now when I make these burritos. And I make them about, once a quarter, Brooklyn? And then we eat them for a day or so, and then we eat them about once a week for lunch. One or two of us will, anyway. Until we're out, and then I make them again. But this is just so versatile because any that's left over, you just take it and add stewed tomatoes to it and more seasoning, and you've got taco soup. Well, what we call taco soup, I guess. Most people don't put vegetables in their tacos. But we do. Okay. Now, I have to taste it and see what I need to add more of. And then I'll add my cheese. Now here's where we would add refried beans. Here comes one of my spoons, y'all. You know when I start cooking, I'm gonna have 50 dirty. More taco seasoning. I am the spoon using as fool you ever did see when it comes to cooking. Because I do everything to taste. What's that? Oh, Brooklyn says I should get a little bowl. But that's okay. I'll use my 50 spoons and it'll be all right. Now I do still have the heat on. I know it doesn't sound as sizzly as it did. That's because I turned the heat down lower. Okay. Now it's time to taste it again. And I will just put it onto my spoon. There we go. Now it's time to add some cheese. I don't add all the cheese to the mix because I want to have some cheese just in the burrito shell. But I put in whatever amount suits me. So, like, I don't know, that much. Probably 2 cups. Y'all are going to learn real fast. I don't measure. Anytime you see something written down as a recipe, it's because Mark did it. Binky, do you want one fresh or you want to wait? Do what? You'll have one fresh? I always have to make Brooklyn one fresh, right as I'm stirring everything in. She's got to go clean stalls in a minute. So she's hungry. But you can see this is super hearty, guys. Now, well, there went a lid. Okay. Now, if you've been around a minute, you know I made burrito shells this morning. And I had several people message me and say that you can't get them soft. Here's the ones I made. I put them in a Ziploc. Yes, I did. It'll be all right. If you don't want to use the Ziploc, you don't have to. So I put the cheese in just like this. And I spoon in some filling. Just like that. Let me grab her a plate. I'm going to show you, well, I'm going to attempt to show you how I fold it. You may not be able to see it. But you can see these imperfect tortillas. It's more like a, I don't even know what, square. I just fold it in, fold it up, and roll it. See, they still fold. Ugly tortillas eat just like not ugly tortillas. This one's torn, so I'll get a different one. So, as I said, normally I'm going to wrap these in aluminum foil, but she's going to eat these two fresh, so I don't need to. And yes, I did fold that one the opposite way of the last one that I did, as you could see. Also, if you see these, my mom just brought these to me. Can you see them? These, she used to sell home interior in like the 1970s. Or, yeah, probably the late 60s, early 70s. So she brought me these two things because she found them in the basement. Vintage Home Co. Made in the USA. And they're going to hang up here behind my stove. Okay. Now, we're going to really get down to rolling these up. Think, use your box. Will you grab the aluminum foil? I'm going to start grabbing out tortilla shells. Also, another thing, and I didn't show you guys this, I also made some fry bread, so you can just put this over top of fry bread. It's super great. I made this one to shape a heart for Mark. It is February, y'all. And I did find one pack of pre-made tortilla shells in the freezer. You did not hand me those, kiddo? All right, so this is how we do it. Shell, cheese. Some of them have more cheese than others. Is it good? Wrap them up. Roll them up. And they store just like this. And they go into the freezer just like this. We usually will put them inside of a Ziploc rolled up like this. And they just go right in the freezer drawer. What doesn't look right, Binky? You say you can't see it. Oh, that's definitely not right. Yeah. Ew. She's looking at cheese. And with some cheese. I promise we're not gross, guys. We just don't throw things away till they actually need to be thrown away, and that needed to be thrown away. This one is right. Yes, that one is right. Well, I'm going to roll it like this. Okay, so if you decide that you're going to make these, please tag us in them. It helps us in the stupid Instagram algorithm that we hate. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to get you turned back around so we can see each other. Hello. If I can figure out how to do this. But if you decide to make them, tag us, because this helps us with stupid Instagram. And Instagram hates our guts anyway. Feelings kind of mutual, I'm not going to lie. So it would help us out if you did that. And in the meantime, until Instagram decides that we're worthy of being seen again, we're going to try to keep some of our content here. And I promise we're going to podcast again. So we also have the Appalachian Homestead podcast. It's on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But it's done on Anchor, and they put it out there for us. So you guys, she's in the walk-in pantry. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I promise never to be fancy. I promise never to be unattainable with anything that I share. And I know that Mark, he couldn't even if he wanted to. So it'll always be relatable, fun, easy to make, food, and other things here. I'm going to hop off, finish doing all these. I'll let you know the total count on Instagram. If you have any questions, message me and we'll answer them. Until next time, which could be tomorrow or it could be next week. I'll see ya.